Good evening and welcome to our social newsroom episode number 8. And we're pleased to be hosting. Ona computer yangu is interrupting with my beginning. Wacha kuncheka Ombachi. Our 8th episode is going to be dedicated to a man who calls himself the DIY King. He is also a rugby legend, and he is a father of 2, a partner of 1. He'll tell us a bit more of that. Amekuwa akisema partner. Wow. And yes, and he's a self-taught chef. He calls himself the roaming chef. If this rings a bell, you know who it is. Done. So let's get started. Dennis Ombachi, thank you so much for being so kind to be with us this evening. Dennis, your namesake, either is running late or amepotea mahali, but we are going to have a very good conversation.
It's a thing about Dennis's.
It's the thing about Dennis's. How potea. How enda mitini.
They're always a menace.
Dennis umesikia? Ombachi amesema they're always menaces, so you're living up to your name. But let's get started, ladies and gentlemen. Feel free to throw in your questions and comments as we continue. That's what I'm looking at here on YouTube as well as on Facebook Live, and we are ready to engage. So let me start from here. Dennis Ombachi, asante sana kwa kutujoin. We didn't have a lot of food to offer, you being the chef, but it's the pressure of having something that is good enough for a chef.
Coffee is just fine.
Coffee is just fine.
For now.
Tume brew vizuri?
Next time you'll do better.
I'm talking about this, what we have right here. But yes, start off with, first of all, Dennis Ombachi off the pitch and outside of the kitchen. Who Dennis Ombachi is in terms of his family.
Mark, first of all, thank you for having me here.
Thank you.
I think off the pitch, people mainly know me, my life inside the rugby pitch and maybe on my balcony or my kitchen cooking. But outside there, I will say I'm a family man. I love going on solo hikes in the forest, sometimes maybe cook in the forest. I've not done much of that lately, but it's one of the things that give me joy. I'm quite passionate about advocating on matters mental health, and sometimes a part-time carpenter. So that's a bit of my life.
Fundi wa mbao.
Yeah, fundi wa mbao. That's a bit of my life outside rugby and cooking.
And you told me you have 4 siblings, 4 sisters, and yourself, and now you have your own family that you are building. Introduce us to your family.
Oh, my family. Okay, I'm the firstborn of 5, so that's me, the firstborn, and then my 4 loving sisters, and then of course my father, my mother. They are living all the way back in our family home in Nakuru.
Okay. And
that now I think it's safe for me to say it has become my extended family, because my family right now, it's me and my partner Svetlana Polikarpova, and my
say again.
Svetlana Polikarpova.
Hey.
Polikarpova.
Polikarpova. Sounds a bit Russian.
Yeah, she's Russian Korean. Yeah. So and my 2 beautiful babies. The firstborn is Remy Ombachi. Secondborn, the daughter Alexandra Ombachi. Yeah. So that's a bit of my family.
It took a Russian girl to put you in line, eh?
Oh yeah, she's straightened a lot in me. Like the man I am today and the man I was 4 years ago before I met her. I usually look back and I'm like 2 totally different human beings, and I think I like the new version of me right now.
What he's saying is thank you very much, and that's what your partner is saying. I've seen in your interviews, your previous interviews, ni ngumu sana kupeana credit to wife. Umempea credit, especially how she's helped you be consistent on the digital space. But hata unaweza sema I love you. No, ni sawa.
I love you, baby.
And we'll talk about how she is fused into the career that you're getting into right now. But let's start with what many people know you for, at least in the past, and that was on the pitch, on the rugby pitch. You're an Olympian. You have been known as the ghost worker for one reason or other on the pitch.
Yeah.
Take us back to that journey. You started at Mwamba FC.
Yeah, Mwamba FC.
And it's a career spanning. You could take us back to that time and what it did for you as Ombachi.
My rugby journey is it's been a long time, because I think I've been active for over a decade before I will say ceremoniously or unceremoniously hang my boots.
Yeah.
Like the passion of rugby, I will say, because I studied at Kisi High School, so that was Form 1 and Form 2. Mm-hmm. Before I was expelled, and then I joined Kiambu High School, Form 3 and Form 4. So once I joined Kiambu High School, Form 3 and Form 4, I remember the principal then, Mr. Gitau, took me aside and told me, you have plenty of energy, you need to spend it somewhere else, because only a few months after being admitted to a new secondary school, I was suspended for 2 weeks. I remember the class was in session, and then there was this guy, some guy who sat in front of the class that I think had made fun of me, and I felt like it was payback time. So I took a battery, and while the teacher was not looking, I swung it and hit him on the head with a battery, just in time when the teacher was actually just turning back and saw me, so they sent me away. So when I came back, the principal, who also happened to be the coach for the rugby team, took me aside and told me, okay, you have plenty of energy, you need to find somewhere else to release it, and I suggest maybe you should come join rugby. So I joined rugby back then, and I turned out to be pretty good at it. I remember even our year, I think it was among the first time that we managed to take Kiambu High School up to the national. That was in rugby sevens. Yeah. So of course, automatically once I left high school, I remember once I left high school is when my dad sort of lost his job, so he was unemployed for a bit. Mm-hmm. My mom was still a primary school teacher. As I said, there were 5 of us that all needed to be taken care of. My sisters were still in high school. Yeah. I was supposed to go in university. Okay, and here now my dad has lost his job, so we really didn't have anywhere to live around Nairobi here. So my sisters and my mom, they sort of went back to Nakuru. Mm-hmm. And then my mom put me up with my aunties that was in Rongai. Yes. So I decided, okay, let me try and pursue rugby much further. Then I will say it was not as a passion. Even like when I was in high school, I didn't play rugby because I actually liked the sport. I played it because it was a sort of me to sort of vent out my energy, a bit of anger inside the rugby pitch. So when I finished high school, I was like, okay, I need somewhere else now to continue venting out my frustrations of life, my anger, my energy. So, and then I remember like when we were still in high school, Mr. Gitao used to play us these video cassettes of the likes of Humphrey Kayange, Collins Injera playing the World Series. And then I was like, okay, this is the club I want to go. These guys are playing for Mwamba. Mm-hmm. So one day he turned up for training. There was the first team training on a different section of the pitch. There's the second team, and then there's this other group of people who we used to call the others. Yeah. So I was training with the others, and coincidentally that day, George Mbaye, Humphrey Kayange, Tito Oduk were standing outside, and then they pulled me aside. Yeah. And they were like, who's that new kid? And I explained to them who I am. So they took me aside. They told me, actually, you have the strength. You just need a bit of finesse. So they took me aside, I remember I was hitting bag. My first skill session was how to hit and spin. Mm-hmm. So Humphrey took me aside. I told him a bit of my story. I told him right now my challenge is getting to training, getting the transport to come to training. So Humphrey, I remember it was Humphrey and a friend of mine called Mike. Mm-hmm. they decided to come together, so they funded my transport to training every other day.
Wow.
So and to top up to that, they told me, okay, you don't need to just come in the evening. We'll also give you enough money so that you can come every other morning at around 6. By 6, by 6 I come, hit the gym, go back to Rongai, and then come in the evening now train with the rest. And this went on for, I think, almost 6 months. I remember even my first training kits I was given. It was given to me by Humphrey, and that's so at this particular.
This is from their pocket.
This is from their pocket. Like I had nothing, and I owe them up to today. Like what I am, what I turned out to be, I really owe it to Humphrey Kayange. So this went on for like 6 months, and for me, it was a good way of me releasing my energies and frustrations. And at this point, I also would not say that I really had that passion for the sport. I was good at it, but for me, it was a means of escaping, the life that how our life had turned out to at that particular point in time. And for me, my mission when I joined rugby was, this is going to be my way out of poverty.
Wow.
Like that was my mission. Like I don't know where this sport will take me, but it will take me out of poverty. And so for me, rugby, I started playing it to get me out of poverty. But then as I continue playing it, as I learned the values that are involved in rugby, I started loving it more as a sport, and it became a part of me.
In 2019, there's you went public with what you'd call now in-house knowledge of what is the inner workings of what ailed the rugby sector in Kenya then. And ukafungua roho. So you say you'd gotten in initially for the money, but clearly from what you had posted, that is the bad state of treatment of the players who are representing Kenya on the international stage, but are left with nothing. Did you run it by your mentor, Humphrey Kayange, when you were posting this?
No, when I came out, I didn't run it by anyone. I remember even like once I started posting, like some of my close friends were like, "Wow, Ombana umeamua, like Ombachi, you've actually decided to burn the house down." But then I was like, I don't think I'm burning anything down. I'm just vocal in what many of us would want to say, but I won't say that they lack the courage to do it. Because for me, how I was raised is, if you see a problem, you point it out.
Yeah.
If it's not fixed, then you let it out, and someone else will come fix it. And I have zero regrets about it. I came out. The issues that were there, some were sorted, some we still are in the process of being sorted.
For those who were not, alive to the realities then, what were you speaking out about?
Mainly it was about the pay and the contracts of the players, because rugby, once you start playing for your country, it takes quite a lot of your time. It takes a lot of investment of your time, your time when you're playing, your time away from the family, and at some point it has to pay.
Yes.
So, and I think we had, at that particular point in time, we had a few delays with the payments. How the players are contracted was not clear. It was still a bit gray here and there. And a few other nitty-gritties that, just needed to be ironed out. And I was speaking from a point because for a certain period of time, things were actually good, things were running well, and then they started going downhill, and it was quite saddening to see. And so I was like, if I don't come out, who will?
Yeah.
So I was like, anyway, I had by that point in time, I would say I'd achieved a bit of my goals. I'd played the World Cup, I'd played the Olympics. I was like, it's going to be a bit tougher for the younger players to come out and speak out. But I think I owe it to them to speak out on their behalf.
What was the impact of you coming out and telling the public on social media that things are not as rosy as they seem?
The impact, I think it was felt internally, actually quite internally. Maybe people didn't sort of realize it.
Yeah.
But a few changes were made here and there in terms of contractual obligations of the players. Simple things like insurance, a few issues like maybe, let's say you're injured and then your contract is run down. So there was a lot of positive impacts that came from that. Also the younger players, other players also realize that in case things are not working as they should be, they also have the right to speak out and to be heard, rather than just hide in a cocoon and let the house keep burning down while they are inside.
Did any one of those young players, or even guys who are in the team with you, come to tell you, Manzi Asante?
Yeah, lots of them. But I remember like when I came out, I woke up the next day and then Willie was also coming out. I was like, finally. But lots of the young guys, because we all of us, like when you're in a team, you usually have a WhatsApp group. So all of us were just high-fiving each other inside the group and stuff. And yeah, it was actually quite good to see. It's not something that I was happy doing. I just did it because I know it needs to be done. Someone had to come out and speak. But
there was no punishment or consequence to you?
No, there was no punishment or consequence, because the issues, the grievances we were airing were factual. There was evidence, so it was all about being fixed now.
Right. And someone here, Makori says, I was with him in Kiambu High School. He once helped me when I was being bullied.
No, I don't remember him, but speaking about bullying, because before I came to Kiambu High School, in Kisii High School, I was bullied quite a lot. I remember there was a time I had enough of the bullying, so I ran away from school and came and actually lived in the streets of Nairobi as a street kid for 7 days before my parents sent a search party and found me. So to me, I hate bullies with all the strength I have in my heart, because they took me down a deep hole. So when I left Kisii High School and then joined Kiambu High School, so I kind of used to protect like the people who are close to me from the bullies.
Yeah. And you're saying it irks you to see it, and that there's a lot of anger you channeled through a rugby later on. Would you say this is one of the sources of the anger that you had inside?
Yeah, that was definitely one of the sources, because like back then in Kisii High School, like I remember the school officials, the prefects, they used to beat us using broomsticks. They used to physically assault us. I remember it reached a point where I ran away from the dormitories. So when the night preps were over, there was a group of us, like 3 of us, used to now sleep inside the classroom with our blankets. And the advantages of that is now, okay, we were not in the system, so we were not recorded as being members of any dormitory or house.
Right.
So we were excused from mopping the dormitories, the inspections and stuff. So for like 3 or 4 months, I was roaming freely inside the school, because it's not that I don't like authority. I don't like being under a system that abuses or misuses authority, and that's why up to today I have a deep disrespect and hatred of bullies.
You said for 3 months you were roaming kwa classes kwa nini. Labda hapo ndo roaming chef ilitoka. But you'll tell us a bit more about that. Deputy Mokaya, you say, watching the amazing story from Kakamega, Masinde Muliro University, and you say from grass to grace, and this is in reference to Ombachi's story. Travel with Fred. I will save this comment for a bit later. Because it's something we mentioned earlier, what Travel with Fred has asked. But I want to speak more about the profession that was, and then get into the profession that is, what you're really known for. In fact, those people who follow you on the socials, they know you more for the kitchen, and many were introduced to you on the pitch, like they knew Ombachi on the pitch. So you went to high school, that's where you were channeled, the energy and the anger was channeled to the rugby pitch. Then you managed to get to Mwamba FC, and you credit it to Humphrey Khaenge and other friends who held your hand, and you got into it. Did you ever get to a point where you say, ulipata ile pesa, the money that you thought you would get, landed in your account as a rugby player?
Yeah, as playing rugby professionally for Kenya, we've had good times. I remember when KQ was the sponsor.
Yes.
I think that was the time of Mwangi Mudhe. We had Mike Friday, I believe, or Paul True as the coach. That time, the salary was quite well, but when I really got hold of good money, I think it was after the Rio Olympics in 2016. That was the first time I think my account had over $1 million. And I remember I was so excited, but then it actually made me now remember that actually we are a bit struggling at home. Like my mom was a teacher somewhere close to Subukia there. The house she was living in, was the roof was leaking and everything. So I decided okay, this Olympic money, as much as I would like to buy nice things to myself, like how my friends were buying nice cars, I was like, this money would be better used. So if I give it to my folks, so I sent my mom almost 99% of the money, and that's the money that we sort of used to build our family home right now in Nakuru. So for me, I was a bit, I don't know how to express the feeling. I think the joy that I saw in the eyes of my mom and my dad, when the building was completed, overshadowed the joy I would have found when I spent the money. Because at that particular point in time, I was still young.
Yeah.
I think I would have just misused it, the way I was blowing all my salary from month to month. So I'm glad I got that huge chunk of money at once, and I'm glad I gave it to my parents. And every time I look at that house, I sort of reflect on my rugby career, and I'm like, okay, there's something I got from sports, and it has helped our family a bit.
Because I remember that's impeccable that you actually chose to prioritize your money, your fortunes from your talent to help your family back home. Because I remember when some of the responses that push back to your opening up to the situation in rugby in the country was that, oh, you guys are entitled, you don't use your money well. I know you got that reaction.
Yeah.
And not many people know how you utilize that money. But do you see, is there some truth and substance to how people use their money, sportsmen and women, that is misguided, leaving them even worse off than they were before initially?
Yeah, there's some truth to it, because I remember my first Commonwealth Games in London, the first amount I got, I think it was slightly over 500,000, and the first thing that came into my mind was buying a brand new PS4. I think I bought a phone. By the time I was coming back to Kenya, the money was already 200,000, and I haven't paid my rent. I remember I also bought a TV. So by the time I'm home, I'm like, what? Now I'm again back on a shoestring budget to pay rent and how to survive. So yeah, I think when you're young, when you get these huge sums of money that keeps constantly coming to your account, it sort of corrupts you. And I wish I had a financial advisor, maybe let's say when I was still a bit younger. But I think I sort of managed mine well, because I always kept a close relationship with my mother. So
Yeah.
like she was sort of my financial manager, because she always kept reminding me that don't forget we are struggling. So every time I used to get something small, I remind myself that I know we are not that. I don't come from a well-off family.
Yeah.
I have sisters who are going to campus. I have to support them. My sisters had already moved in with me, so I'm not only supporting myself, I have to support them as well, paying a bit of their fees here and there. So yeah, for me, I had a bit of guidance, I would say, but that mainly came from my mom. But I think going forward, for the young sportsmen and women, it will be good, even if it's an initiative that comes maybe from the federations of the government, if they can get, if they can get, sound advice from proper financial advisors, or maybe some things to do, maybe investing in their future, or something around that. I'm not quite too familiar in that, but if they can get proper professional support, I think it will do much better to the youth.
You speak about where you were going, looking for more money to get out of poverty through rugby, but then you have a major injury. Take us back to that point, how it made you feel. You broke your leg, right?
Oh, yeah. I remember the season. I think it was 2018. I think I was in the best shape in my career that I've ever been. I was looking forward to a great season. And then coincidentally, the first tournament, I think it was the second or third game against Uganda.
Yes.
I sort of broke my leg, and that put me out for 6 months. Of course, it was heartbreaking. That was one of the longest 6 months in my life. And as much as I say the bones and muscles do heal, but I think the mental scar that it left in my head was much bigger than I would have imagined. Because I remember it took me quite down a rabbit hole. I remember it was during that period of time, like I had nothing to do. I was immobilized. I was at home, slowly recovering. That's when I found myself. I was drinking a lot. There was nothing to do. I think that it was around that period of time that for the first time, I smoked weed. Like my mind was free and idle, and you're seeing your friends going out there, performing, reaching all these finals, and had you been fit, you would have been there.
Yes.
So as much as the injury healed, I think the scar that it leaves in your mind is what should actually be worrying people. And this is actually something that can also be picked up by the federations. Like once your players are injured, or they are sort of out of action for a long time, don't just focus on their physical well-being. Like, because a bone, once the surgery has been done, you're going to be okay. But mentally, you need also to train your mind as well.
And was there anyone who held you during that going down that rabbit hole?
Yeah. Then at that particular point in time, the people who held me are actually my friends. I don't know whether they are watching. Jimani, Kevin Okeo, they stood by me, held by me. Yeah, when I was actually a bit going sideways, they even took me. I went for mental counseling. I think that was around that period of time is when I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. So I'm kind of thankful for them being there for me.
Right, and because you did show a picture, and if you can just hold your hand up to that, to that, like I think to that camera over there.
Over here.
Yes. What was there? What moment? What really made you do that? Like, was it during that time that?
No, this was not during that time. This was after. During that time is when I was diagnosed. So, but then there's this African in me. I was like, okay, I don't think I have bipolar. I mean, it was just
ama hizi ni ugonjwa za wazungu.
Yeah, hizi ni ugonjwa za wazungu. It can't affect me. So I was on and off medication so I was not consistent with my meds.
Yes.
And then I remember it reached a point, and this was when my partner and I were expecting our first child, and I was going through a serious period of depression. So, and as I already said, you know, I was into these DIY things. So I was at the balcony. I was trying to fix something using tiles. So, and then I just snapped. I took the tile, broke it on the floor, took one sharp piece, and then started slitting my wrist. Because at that particular point in time, I was feeling numb.
Yes.
And like I was, even like when I was slitting myself, there was no feelings or sensation of pain that I was looking for.
Yes.
But I couldn't be able to get. So I slit myself. The house was completely covered in blood. It almost induced labor on my partner, which was she was not yet due. So she had to be the one to drive me now to hospital. Wow. I went and got, I think it was 32 stitches or something, and it was at that particular point in time is when now I started now taking my mental health quite seriously. So yeah, so I went back to hospital. I was constant on my medication, and then now one thing that I was always avoiding now is therapy. So I started now taking therapy quite seriously, and since then life has been getting better and better every other day. Of course, it's a journey, as I keep telling people. Like, mental health is it's not a destination, it's a journey. So every other day has its own new challenges, but as long as you stick with the routine, working with a professional, seeing your therapist, taking your meds, it's going to turn out okay.
Are there any triggers that you've had identified over time to prepare ahead of time for any snapping? And you don't have to say what they are, but have you identified any?
Yeah, there are triggers of which it will be hard for you to identify by yourself. That's why you need a psychiatrist and a therapist. You need to work with a psychiatrist and a therapist, and then through that is when they will be able to identify your triggers. Like for mine, after working with a therapist, I came to realize it was actually deep-rooted. Some of them came from childhood traumas and stuff. A bit of my life while still playing professional sports. So traumas are different on everybody, and it only takes a therapist and a psychiatrist working with them. That's how you can get to identify your own triggers. Because bipolar, I can be bipolar, you can be bipolar, but my triggers and your triggers will be completely different.
Yeah. And just to wrap up on before we get now into your new career, Colin Sinjera, one of your good friends, he hung his boots, so to call it. I don't know the right terminology in rugby, but he's retired. First of all, would you term your leaving rugby, was it unceremonious? Do you feel there was still a bit of kick in it or punch that you could give when you look back, personally for you?
Yeah, I think mine, I retired quite unceremoniously because physically I still could be able to play, because I remember it was straight after the pandemic, and yeah, like the federation or the union was struggling with sponsorship. The salaries were not that sustainable, especially now that I already had 2 kids. So for me, leaving rugby, we actually sat down with my partner and then sort of did the maths. We're like, okay, for you to be able to continue playing rugby, you need to be bringing certain amounts on the table, and then I bring certain amount on the table, and that's how we can be able to sustain this family and give the kids a comfortable life, not only now, but also planning for the future. So for me, it was the decision was purely financial, because I thought, okay, I've been playing this game for slightly over a decade, and I think it's time for me to start transitioning to a new phase in life. a new source of income, more sustainable source of income. So I just had to make that tough decision. It was not easy. Up to today, sometimes I feel like going back to play, but I know that curtain has already closed.
Yeah.
So my decision was purely financial because I had to take care of my family. But yeah, it was a tough one, but no regrets. So far, so good.
When you heard Colin Sinjera has retired, did you feel, oh man, I wish there was just one more tournament, or we needed to see him a bit more on the pitch?
Yeah, of course, a person like Kolo, a legend of the game, for him to retire, you know, this is someone I was idolizing, like when I was still in high school. It reached a point where, to me, like, I was like, okay, Kolo there's rugby and then there's Kolo. It's like hand to hand. They can't be rugby without Kolo. So hearing him that he's retiring it was a bit of that sad moment, but at the same time, it was a happy moment for me because I realized that I've actually had the pleasure of playing alongside him, both club and national levels. So, yeah, I won't term it as a huge loss to Kenya Rugby. I believe it's our opportunity now to sort of celebrate the legend of a game that he has been.
I personally felt this is a legend who hasn't been appreciated as he should. And it's happened to many of our sportsmen and women. It just happened and it trended for a bit and gone, or done, as you would say, when you're cooking and doing your magic in the kitchen. What's your sentiment about that? How we celebrate our national heroes on the sporting field?
I believe more could be done, but for a person like Kolo, I think, despite the fact that he has retired, I don't think anyone will be forgetting about him anytime soon. So, and I think his recognition is going to come in due time.
Oh yeah.
Because no one is going to forget Kolo. Kolo and Humphrey they are behemoths of of the sport.
And we will actually celebrate him here on Sema Box and the social newsroom, because we're going to host him very soon, also to hear his side of the story. Let's now transition to what people know you more currently, and it is your culinary skills. Who would have thought that a giant like you can be so gentle with cooking and recipes and produce magic? And someone here says, as we transition now to your more personal off-the-pitch life, Travel with Fred asks, how's your son doing? There's a video I saw on Ombachi throwing him in a swimming pool. Tueleze. In fact, it trended for a bit on how, he's such a bad father. How does he do that?
He's doing quite fine. At least now he can swim. His father still can't swim, so he has one over me. And like when I threw him in the water, I didn't just wake up and decide, okay, today I'm throwing my son in the water. He had completed a 6-week water safety course. Yeah. So, and then the final stage, the swimming instructor was like, okay, now you have to throw him inside the water to simulate an accident and see whether he'll be able to flip over and survive it. And I was like, the pleasure is all mine.
But the irony of it is that dad can't swim.
Yeah, I think it reaches an age where learning these things becomes a bit more difficult. Because I've actually tried to swim twice and I'm like, swimming is not for me, and I don't want my child or my children to end up like me. So they have to learn how to swim at a younger age.
But maybe your son one day will be the one saving you from the waters.
Maybe.
Now that he's a champ. But Svetlana, does she know how to swim?
Yeah, definitely.
She's definitely your partner.
Yeah.
But then mbona unamuita partner? Si ni wife. Mkono watoi wawili. You have 2 kids.
Yeah, in the African setting, she's my wife, but in a church setting, she's still my partner.
So unapanga hivi karibuni? Is 2023 the year?
I'm thinking about it, But now with these kids, they're also not cheap, and also arranging all these wedding and stuff is also not cheap. So when I'm ready.
You can go to the AGs, man. You don't have to do glamorous thing. You're together already. She's a love of your life.
You want me to be chased away? Of course, she wants to have a wedding by the beach, like every other girl outside there.
Oh yeah, that's
not
definitely. I don't
underage.
don't want you to get into any trouble. But vile umesema maneno ya pesa, and I've been married for 8 years, so I know there's some ways of. We had considered it, my wife and I, but you know, it's more than just between you.
Yeah.
There's a family.
There's the family,
and they
and
have
stuff.
to. This is their occasion, in fact. So it's things that you have to consider with the family. So. You've said swimming is something you don't know and it's hard to teach yourself some things at a certain age. But cooking, though, you taught yourself. YouTube?
Yeah, everything
When did
through
this
YouTube.
start? When did this start?
First of all, my passion for cooking, I think it started around the same time I was still playing rugby.
Okay.
You know, like in 1 year we used to travel to, let's say, 15 to 18 countries, and all these countries, different people, different foods, different cultures. So after tasting all these different foods, I used to come back home and say to myself, okay, let me try making this and this. Maybe I ate such kind of food, maybe in Japan. I'm like, okay, how can I make it? Let me look it up on YouTube and then see whether I can be able to replicate it. And of course, the first few weeks, months, or even years, they were not as good. They were not that they call it Instagrammable.
Yes.
they were really not good, but they were edible.
Yes.
And then so that passion started developing, and then I found myself now spending more time on YouTube watching cooking videos, and I especially fell in love with Gordon Ramsay's style of cooking.
Right.
Because he was pushing for sort of cooking technique that emphasizes more on the technique, the skill, rather than following the recipe. And for me, I found it more easier because like once you're following a recipe, you're basically just copy pasting what someone else cooks.
Right.
But once you cook from intuition, using your eyes, nose, tongue, by taste, you sort of kind of develop your own art, and then with practice, you become an artist in your own separate, different way.
You've mentioned Gordon Ramsay. I wonder if he's influenced what you do right now, the touch that you have. But there's that one thing you're known for.
Done.
Chop the onions, done. Add zucchini, done. Where did you get that? Who inspired this? And and it's your thing now. In fact, you should have a T-shirt. Done.
Okay, again, coincidentally, the Dan came up being because, as I said, I used to watch lots of Gordon Ramsay's videos on YouTube, and then sometimes I will just pass out, black out on the couch, sleep, and then the show is still going on. So after finishing every other recipe, I used to say done. So it kept ringing in my head. And then so I found myself, like, when I'm preparing stuff at home, after I'm done with the one process, I say done. It sort of gives me that satisfaction, self-validation that, okay, this task has been completed. And then I transferred it to my videos, and people started noticing that, okay, you're saying done a bit too much. At that point, I didn't realize it. And then watching the videos back, I'm like, okay, I'm saying it quite a lot. Should I reduce? No, let me just keep at it. And then it sort of grew and became my thing. And I don't think I'll be dropping it anytime soon.
That's your thing, bro.
That's my thing.
You should have the T-shirts, the caps, all written done.
Soon.
Yes, copyrighted.
I hope you'll buy.
So take us through the creative process of now when you're cooking. Because your videos that you post are like 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
They are 1 minute 30 more max.
Yes, but what is the time that goes into preparing a meal?
It takes quite some time, because like one video will take me almost 5 to 6 hours to shoot.
Wow.
Because currently I'm just using my phone, so it's just a phone and then my tripod. And how my videos are, they have different angles, so you might find, so I might just be chopping an onion, but I'll have to stop almost 5 times to move the tripod and to get different angles, because that's how the videos become interesting.
Right.
So by the time I've finished cooking, it's around 6 hours. Editing again will take me another 1 or 2 days, because maybe I still do everything on my phone.
Yes.
So an entire video can usually takes me around 3 to 4 days from shooting to production.
So between you, and this is all you. You don't have a team that puts this all together.
No. I wish I had a team, but right now I'm my own. I and myself. We are the team.
You're the chef.
I'm
You're the editor.
I'm the editor. I'm the cameraman.
Are you saying, Ombachi, that you can use some help in putting together your episodes? Are you open to that? Kuna watu wanasikiza. There are creatives out there.
Yeah, well, I've been thinking about opening a YouTube channel, but with that, of course, I'll need some help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's Semabox for one. I'm just throwing it in there. They'd be happy to sample your cooking after you're done for free. After you're done, there's a lot of space here that you can do it. But there's many people I'm sure who are watching that can get in touch with you even on your socials to make sure that they can work with you to put, because this content, it needs to go beyond. Like you can archive it even in your in a YouTube channel, a podcast like this, and what you do has a great following. In fact, when we're saying, I was with my family, my brother-in-law's like, we're having him on Monday. It's like, and it had your picture, in your jersey. Like, nani? Ule msee wa done. You see, they, people.
Like nowadays, even outside there in the streets, like, I'm like, you people don't even remember I used to play rugby anymore. Everyone meets me. I order and do the guy, like, you're the guy of done. I'm like, oh, here we go again. When I meet someone who remembers me from my rugby days, I am so happy.
But that just tells you how much people have resonated with what you're doing.
Yeah.
And something big happened. In 2022, you became the TikTok 2022 top creator in Africa.
Oh, yeah.
In Africa. My goodness. Who would you credit for this success? Let's give credit where it's due.
Oh, yeah, actually that's TikTok top creator 2022 came to me as a surprise, because I remember they sent me a mail. They were like, okay, you've been selected, and then I was like, okay, I know you'll give this maybe to the people from our brothers from Nigeria or South Africa. But anyway, I'll show up. Up. And then once I won, I was like, I actually won. So it actually took me like 2 days for it to sink in that I actually won it, because for me, TikTok, I won't say I've been very active inside there. Like, I've been active in terms of posting, but sort of engaging.
Yes.
I was not that active, but I think the person that I'll credit the most with my success on TikTok, or generally on social media, it's my partner, because she's the one who actually urged me to download TikTok, because I was just on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I was on and off. I was just mainly on Instagram and Twitter, and then she was like, download TikTok, you'll reach a wider audience. So I downloaded, started posting my content, and I found out most of them were going viral over there. 20 million views, 40 million views.
Wow.
So, and even on my day-to-day production of content, she's the one who usually pushes me. Like, sometimes I'm slacking.
Yes.
She'll find me just chilling on the couch. She's like, when are you shooting again? The last time you shot was 2 weeks ago. And then I'll be like, okay. I go shoot. So yeah, yes. She's like my little guardian angel with a whip.
So look at this. People are now really reacting to and responding to, now that we're talking about the roaming chef. Now they're talking. It's been 10 years on the pitch, people. 10
good years.
And now you're talking about
of blood, tears, and sweat.
Now it's just, maybe just some sweat in the kitchen. But here, now Travel with Fred, he responds to the question about swimming. Man, I was surprised when I saw him swimming. Great work, bro. Now they say, great work, bro. Makori says, ask Ombachi if he finally knew how to make the beef Wellington.
Oh, the beef Wellington. I'm almost there. I'm still, no, I'm almost there.
Yes.
Almost there. Right now I'm still overcooking. Like, when I once I finish wrapping the beef fillet in the puff pastry, I still sort of tend to overcook it. But I think 2 more weeks I'll have managed it.
2 more weeks for the beef Wellington.
I'll make a video on it.
And Doris asks, can Ombachi please bring back his fermented hot sauces, please?
Oh, yeah, Mark. Actually, one thing you haven't mentioned, I remember during the pandemic, this was actually after I unceremoniously retired from rugby. So I was still figuring out how to earn an extra source of income. So I decided I'll be selling sauces. So I used to make sauces at home and sell to people. And actually they were doing quite well because they were selling out. Every batch was selling out. But then again, my inconsistency, I let the business die. Actually, maybe I should revive the business. Yeah, just maybe.
Put that down because I think you have many followers to do this. And Ombese Nyachai says, nice stuff. And David Kaleche says, kindly say hi to Ombachi. We were classmates.
Oh, Kaleche, yeah. That one was my classmate. We actually played rugby together in Kiambu School. Like, Kaleche, baby bro.
Travel with Fred say, oh, I do my videos alone too, without any support. Ombachi, you have big followers. Create your YouTube channel. You'll be good, bro. Don't you worry. And Ombese Nyachai says, good to see people moving to the dark space. Everything is all digital. Speaking of everything is all digital. And I hope you really open that YouTube channel. There's a following. How do you make ends meet with that? Because there's a recipe, there's all that goes into it. There's your time, 5 hours. How do you make money from this?
Nowadays we live in, I would say, exciting times. Like everything has gone digital. Like right now, people spend more times on their devices, be it your laptop, your phone, than you spend more. Your eyes are glued more on your screen than maybe, let's say, the other traditional media, like magazines, billboards, even the TV, like TV nowadays. I don't remember the last time I watched like mainstream media on TV unless there's something very urgent
like
going
elections.
on, like elections and stuff. But on a regular day-to-day basis, I'll spend my time on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So and brands have noticed this. So like actually, like right now, how I make a living mainly is through partnering with brands.
Right.
So I'm sort of using my audience on my channels for me now to be able to partner with brands and basically that's how I make a living, and it's paying quite well. In the beginning, it was not that it was picking up, but I think right now it has gotten better, and it's going to get even bigger going into the future because social media is only going to grow bigger. It's not about to fade away anytime soon.
Speaking of social media, I did see you try your hand at golf, and you suck, man.
No.
You manzeuli hata every swing, man.
It was my first time. But now I'm better. I'm actually looking. No, it was like 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah, man, it was bad.
No, I actually thought golf was going to be easy, but after that I pulled my muscle. I was frustrated.
So are you trying your hand at golf? Is that something you want to get into?
Yeah, I'm actually looking now forward into buying my first set of golf clubs.
Allah, okay. Yeah. So look out now for his entertainment on the golf course. Let's talk about something else that you've been doing, and that is carpentry. And when this started, because you call yourself the DIY king, like do-it-yourself kind of guy. Yeah. The carpentry, Annie. You see this, you can create something out of it. Where did that start and where is that going?
My passion for carpentry, I will say, I don't want to say high school because actually going back, I remember it was back in the village. Like when because I used to keep rabbits, and then I used to make rabbits and dogs. So, because we used to hunt for rabbits inside those tea plantations, because I grew up in the tea plantations of Nandi Hills. So we used to go hunt for rabbits with dogs, and then the ones that were not dead, we used to bring them, try and rear them at home. So, and then making what's a rabbit's house? Making their houses, we used to make them by ourselves. So that was my first hand experience at carpentry, and then I joined high school, Kisii High School. I remember that particular point in time, they used to offer woodwork before it was scrapped. So I tried my hand at woodwork, and then once I finished high school, I had a friend of mine who was a carpenter in Kawangware. So I used to go to his workshop. How we met, actually, I think there was something I brought him I took to him to fix, and then it sort of reignited my passion in carpentry. So I was like, okay, there's this table I want to make. I want you to teach me and see how I am going. So he was teaching me how to use the planer, how to use a saw properly, how to make those dovetail joints and stuff. And then slowly I got hooked into it, and then the pandemic hit. And so during the pandemic, like, instead of just staying at home like 24 hours, I remember that time my partner was expecting, so the energy in the house was quite
for lack of a better word.
For lack of better word, the energy in the house was quite intense. So I would like excuse myself, go to the workshop, try a few things here and there, and actually
hammer that thing.
Yeah, hammer my frustrations out.
Yeah.
So, and then, yeah, in time, I sort of became good at it. And then even like the table that I'm using right now, my table and my chopping board that I use at the balcony,
yes.
I made them myself. Yeah, so for me, carpentry was a sort of a release. It's a hobby. It's the same way as plant lovers. Like, you take care of something, you see it grow. Yeah. So like seeing something grow from a plank of wood into a meaningful structure, there's some satisfaction and joy that comes from it. So carpentry, for me, I love it. I still love it. It's been over a year since I've been in the workshop. Yeah. But yeah, I look forward to the next time
It's still there.
It's still there. But right now, you know, with the cooking, with the kids, it's hard now to find time to, even hiking nowadays, I don't hike as much. Yeah. Because like the family now is taking more of my time, the family and the cooking, because the cooking also is what's bringing food on the table. Yeah.
Speaking of bringing food on the table, some people might say, from what they see, it's really food for your own consumption and your family. Are you going to be making food for people, whether it's delivery or like a small outlet where Ombachi kitchen or something like that?
Actually, it's funny because before the pandemic hit, I remember we actually were about to start a restaurant. Okay. Just 2 months before the pandemic. And then the pandemic came, and then that idea was sort of put into a corner. And then I decided, okay, so I can't execute that idea now. Yeah. Let me stick now with preparing the food for online consumption. And then I found out that, oh, okay, actually, food for online consumption also has a market. Yes. So I sort of gained a huge following, and I was like, okay, let me try and monetize this as I still work, because my dream of owning a restaurant is still alive. I have a dream of owning a restaurant sometime before I die, and it's actually one thing that I would like to leave for my kids to run.
Like a franchise.
Well. Yeah, like a franchise. Yeah.
What of just delivery? Like, I'm sure people who, you know, if you learn how to do is it the Wellington
beef Wellington.
Beef Wellington, and you got it right, and then people start saying, please make it for me, I'll pay for delivery. To your area.
No, but actually it's not like I've not tried cooking for people. Because actually how the name the roaming chef started, I remember it also comes down to, this was before the pandemic, like once I had unceremoniously retired from rugby, I was still selling sauces here, and then so I had this idea where if you have a party at your house, or you just want someone to come cook for you, people could hire me. So that's when I was like, okay, so what am I going to call myself? Since I was getting gigs in Naivasha, Ruiru, Lavington, Kitengela, I was like, okay, I'm roaming from place to place, so I'm going to call myself the roaming chef. So I used to actually go to people's houses and cook for them here and there, but then I came and realized that actually the logistics plus the amount of money it's making, I need to scale for me to earn enough to support a family. Okay. So I also put that idea aside. So I've tried lots of things. I've tried selling sauces. I've tried cooking for people. But right now what's working for me is now the cooking for the online audience. And yeah, but I still I still have the dream of opening a restaurant. With the right partners, I think I'll be able to make it come true.
We spoke about something earlier. How do you come up with your recipes?
Oh, my recipes. My recipes, they're usually, they are mainly inspired by what we want to eat that day at home. Because I don't have like a
Recipe book.
like a recipe book. Okay, like today I'm going to make this. Today I'm going to make this. So I'll wake up and then I decide, okay, today I want to shoot. So I'll ask my partner, what do you guys want to eat today? She'll say fish, and then now I'll find a different way of making fish from how I've made it before. Because at home we rarely eat the same thing twice.
Wow.
Unless maybe it's rice, because rice you just put it in the rice cooker and it's done. So we rarely eat anything twice. So my inspiration usually comes from my family. Like what you want to cook is what I'll prepare. And I found it a bit more easier than having a list of, okay, today I'm going to cook this, today I'm going to cook this. So there I sort of, it sort of became more authentic, you know?
Yes.
And that's what people want to see, like what you're cooking is what you're eating. Because I remember there was a time actually before I started shooting cooking videos, I used to have a food blog, which I led that. It was called Women Should Cook, not women, we men. Yeah, we men should cook. And then I came and I realized that even me personally, I don't like reading recipes and stuff. I'm more visually attracted to food. And I remember like the foods I used to create there, like the photos were nice, but the food was not really edible.
Yes.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, I'm going to move to video. I'm going to show everyone like the step-by-step process. And that way people sort of related with it more. It was more authentic. It's entertaining because the aim of when I make a video, my aim is to make it, first of all, entertaining, and then educative at the same time.
Yeah, and now that you don't have the rugby pitch to just let out some steam, what does it for you now?
I think what does for me now, it's first of all, it's my family. Like those two little kids, they are a bundle of energy. Like by the time you're done with them, you're also tired. And also now the cooking. Like for me, I find cooking for me is therapy for me. So if I'm frustrated, if I have a bit of energy, I want to maybe to vent out, I'll go in the kitchen, try out something. Maybe it might turn good, might turn bad, but that's part of the process. So for me, cooking helps me a lot in sort of stabilizing my emotions. Kevin
Okoth asks, will we see him back in the pitch? I believe you have 1 year. Nanondi's inakunid.
No, if you see me back in the pitch, I probably will be playing touch rugby with the Wazés over there.
Have you ever considered, though, supporting the sport, maybe with your technical skills, just because you still have the love for rugby?
Yeah, for sure.
And you know that there's younger talent to be nurtured. Have you considered that? Or maybe you do it behind the scenes?
Yeah, for sure. I'd love to be back involved more in the game. But for now, since I stepped aside with a specific goal, trying to set myself comfortably, be it financially, socially, mentally, outside the space of rugby. So, of which I'm getting there. Once everything is set on my end, then I can believe now is when I'll be able to help others, because it's tough to try to help someone else while you're still struggling.
Still trying, and would you say that perhaps there is a story to be told for those who are still in the game, who are thinking, who are staying on, but they're not really decided on what next, that they should just give an opportunity for the next generation, not having figured out, like you have, about the life hereafter?
No, first of all, I'd like to tell them, not only them, anyone, even the teenagers who are joining the sport, like, as soon as you're into sports, you should start thinking about retirement, because sports, the lifespan of an athlete is very short. You know, If let's say I played the sport for 10 years, and if God willing I'm able to live to, let's say, 75, 80. So sports, that's less than a quarter of your life. So it plays a small part of your life. So while you're still actively involved in sports, it's easier for you to always be thinking of your life outside sports.
Yeah.
So even for those who are there, like a bit older, I usually say there is no age limit in sports. You can like look at LeBron James. He's still performing at, I think, 30. I don't know how old he is, 38 or something,
Yeah.
but he's pretty old.
And he hit a record the other day.
Exactly. Like the age is not a factor in sports.
Right.
But don't forget that there is always his life after sports, and it hits you fast, comes at you fast. You better be prepared for it.
Right. And now that you're not on the pitch, but you're in the kitchen, do you still eat 7 to 10 meals in a day?
No, right now I found myself eating less.
Which is how many meals in a day?
4 to 5. My eating habits are they are not as well planned as I was a player, because when you're a player you have a routine, like
Yeah.
you have breakfast at this time, go train, you have a snack, lunch.
Yeah.
Now sometimes I would wake up, my first meal will be lunch, and then second meal will be around 4, and then I have dinner, then watch TV till late night, eat again before sleep. So right now my eating habits are a bit irregular.
Erratic, yeah.
Yeah, but I still eat quite a lot.
You tell us what you think people don't know about you. As I was just prepping, and we were talking, Ombachi is an A- student. He's done economics. He's done account CPA at Strathmore, nonetheless. So when msomi, what do you think people don't know about? What else do you think people don't know about you?
What else do people don't know about me? I think
Legal stuff, of course.
I think my life is pretty much outside there. What do people don't know about me?
The things that you like, maybe you don't vote as a matter of principle.
Oh, the things that I like. I enjoy watching crime documentaries at night before I sleep.
Just before you sleep.
Yeah.
What a way to get
Murder
sleep.
mysteries.
Wow.
Like those are the kind of things that make me sleep well.
Okay. People didn't know about that I'm sure. and now just to also, as we're looking at the Shujaa Sevens going to LA this coming weekend. They'll be playing, and on Saturday they'll be against Australia. On Sunday, early Sunday, they'll be against Fiji and Japan. How do you see them performing against Australia, Fiji, Japan?
First of all, it's a young team. We had a challenging start, but if you look at the log, we've been improving slowly, bit by bit. So for me, it's not about how they perform against the likes of New Zealand, Australia, or Japan. It's all about ticking those small boxes, and
Right.
I'm sure, like improving a bit of aspects. Like if we improve our defense, we're going to be a bit better. We finesse our attack. So for me, I will just say is to give the boys a bit of time, because it's a young team, it's a new team. They're still bonding, they're still gelling together. And I believe we are heading towards the right direction.
What would you tell, as we conclude, the CS for Sports, Ababu Namwamba, who seems to have a lot of energy to make things work in the sporting entertainment sector, about rugby? What should they prioritize for you, in your view?
Honorable Ababu, I've had the pleasure of interacting with him on a few occasions. He's a man with a lot of passion, not only just rugby, sports in general, and the creative sector. But for rugby, I'll just tell him to just continue giving us the support he already is giving us. And I believe, because rugby, it's a free market tool that it's free marketing for Kenya. So I'll just like to urge him to continue supporting us like he already is, and better days are yet to come.
Would you consider coaching?
With my patience. You know, coaching needs plenty of patience. So
Yes.
I'm not too sure about that.
Okay. For that person who wants to break out into the digital space, they're not too sure or confident that people will accept them, what's your advice to them for whatever skill they want to put out there?
Oh, my advice is the best time to start is now. Don't wait for the perfect opportunity to start. So start now. And then I remember there's this mantra I used to go by, because back in the days it used to take me almost a month before I find a video that I would like to post. So and then it hit me that, so I started telling myself I'm going to be posting, sorry to say this on air, one shit video at a time. So one shit video at a time, and then it will get better and better and better and better. Don't wait for the best opportunity. The best opportunity, the time to start is now. And there is lots, as in the social media, digital space, the cake is so big,
Very true.
no one can eat it by themselves.
Very true.
There's a corner for you to bite onto it.
Right. I mean, look, you're starting golf, and I'll tell you that those are very ish videos on your IG with you swinging, but I love it. It's all for the entertainment. You don't know who you're uplifting with your content,
Yeah.
and I thank you for supporting even the social newsroom, Semabox. That's what they're about, the podcasting
Welcome
space.
so much.
The people who work so hard behind the scenes. We should get that camera for our behind the scenes crew who are here. And by the way, it was Doris who was asking about the sauce, the sauce that you should bring back. And so, so yes, this is definitely, as you said, start now, do it, learn as you do it, and that's what we are doing. And we are getting so much validation when we have legends like you, heroes like you, people who have fallen and gotten up again to support this and speak to Kenyans. But please, anzisha your YouTube channel yako. If nowhere else, anza hapa Semabox.
I'll give it my best shot.
Utaitaje? Done.
I don't know. Something will come up.
I'll give you an opportunity to sign off as you always do with your pieces. Let me start first. Thank you for watching the Social Newsroom, our 8th episode. It's been a pleasure hosting the roaming chef, that is Dennis Ombachi. My name is Mark Masai. Let's do it next week again with a fresh and a new guest. You never know who it is, but it's someone who will inspire you, speak from the heart, and speak truth. And I'll let the roaming chef wrap up as he does with every segment in his cooking.
Thank you for tuning in to the show.
The soul. Rewind, come again, selector, from the top.
Thank you for tuning in to the social newsroom.
Yeah. You're good, you're good, you're good. Yes, stir it up again. Let's start.
Thank you for tuning into the social newsroom. From us here, we are done. Hey, your social newsroom ni tankista.